Hi everyone, welcome to our Hangout on Air series, Disrupt or Be Disrupted. This is a live series for Hangouts on Air in the series. This is the first one. And we're bringing in various CIOs and CXOs from large organizations such as Netflix and Tory Burch to talk about how they are going through digital transformation within their environments. Today we have with us Brent Hoag from CIO from Briggs Stratton, and Sarah Alt, IT Director also from Briggs Stratton, and they're here to talk about how they're operating better, how they're launching products faster, and how they're turning this concept of Internet of Things into a reality with Google Enterprise Technology. We also have with us Rhonda Stites, who is the head of Industry Solutions with Google Enterprise, and she oversees retail, media, and manufacturing. I am Tejal Parekh. I oversee enterprise marketing with Google. And just a quick reminder for our viewers, please feel free to post your comments, questions on your social channels, and please remember to use the hashtag Disrupt or Be Disrupted. So let's get started here. So Brent, just for the purpose of giving some background to our audience, if you can describe to us what Briggs & Stratton does today and what does the business model look like today?
Sure, thanks Tejal. Briggs & Stratton Corporation is a manufacturer, designer, and marketer of air-cooled gasoline engines for the outdoor power equipment industry. So this includes products such as snow throwers, lawn and garden equipment, pressure washers, and generators for the standby home and small businesses. It also includes parts and accessories that are related to these products that we market to OEM manufacturers worldwide. So traditionally, Briggs & Stratton has been just an OEM manufacturer of engines. The interesting part of our business is that we're rapidly transforming to become a products manufacturer and a products company that delivers through B2B to B2C channels. So the most interesting thing about this is that our need to become customer-centric in this model. And so we're transforming very rapidly to needing to use tools that become customer-centric. For IT, this means a radical transformation as well. So we've set up our IT department to be really a different model for our customers, to give them IT choices, to empower them to use certain tools that allow them to be customer-centric, and really to radically change how they operate in our business.
Thank you. So really, it's all about customer centricity, both inside and outside the company. And this is something that we've heard a lot from other manufacturers as well. Rhonda, as the head of industry for manufacturing, can you tell us what does the landscape look like today within the manufacturing sector? What are the trends? And what is Google Enterprise doing to empower manufacturers?
Hi, Tejal. So manufacturing is growing and changing. So this has really been enabled by a new networked economy that is powered by smart devices, sensors, new technology, and processes that are now interconnected because of these capabilities. So we're really on the verge of what some are calling the next evolution or Industry 4.0 of the manufacturing industrial revolution. So in this new digital era, highly efficient, flexible, and customized mass production will become the norm. So as these technologies have merged, the physical and digital worlds have merged as well. And this is happening throughout all layers of production. This has enabled production to get much more smarter, allowing manufacturers to respond quicker to customers and customer demands, even down to the level of creating an individualized product for a customer or a particular consumer. So in addition to these changes, manufacturing remains very focused on operational efficiency, but what we're seeing is that innovation and creating these new products and services are beginning to take precedence. So some of the challenges that manufacturers will face as they try to make this transition to Industry 4.0 is that they're really going to have to look at reevaluating some of the industry fundamentals and the way that they've worked for decades. So this requires them to really focus on three different things. One, really investing in understanding in the Internet of Things and investing in that from a product capability standpoint, as well as leveraging big data so that they can really understand customer behavior and turn that information into insights. The second area is continuing to focus on operational efficiency and collaboration, but doing that in a manner that allows them to work across their entire value chain as one cohesive entity with internal organizations as well as their suppliers, vendors, or distributors. And then the third area is to really focus on what they can do to speed up those that product idea to life cycle. So really allowing them to deliver products and get them out into the market with unprecedented speed. And these are areas that Google is really focused on helping manufacturers generate value as these new technical possibilities open up. So what Google Enterprise has done is created an entire portfolio of solutions that manufacturers can leverage. Everything from our cloud infrastructure to big data solutions to geospatial tools that allow them to track information, Google Apps that will allow things like productivity, or to the devices. So we've been working with leading manufacturers such as Whirlpool, Honeywell, Shaw Industries, and of course Briggs Stratton to help them embrace this new era and move forward.
That's great. That was a nice overview. And you talk about 3 trends. So I want to take time and dive into the first one that you mentioned, which is the Internet of Things. There's a lot of talk about it today. And as the industry expert, can you frame the problem that the industry faces today around this? And how are manufacturers leveraging Google Enterprise technology to really bring this concept into life?
So for the Internet of Things, what we're seeing is that the things we buy, from a watch to a washing machine or to a backup generator, are increasingly connected to each other and to the Internet. So this connectivity is what we refer to as the Internet of Things, or IoT. So this brings a whole new kind of value to the customer and an opportunity to manufacturers. So according to Gartner, they're predicting that the products that are Internet, IoT enabled are going to represent a $1.9 trillion market opportunity by the year 2020. So this is really an inflection point and great opportunities for manufacturers to leverage these capabilities to provide new products and services. So what IoT lets them do is really understand customer behavior. So how their products and services are being used, they can be tracked, and they can even influence customer buying behavior. So think about something that we all use every day, like a refrigerator. What if your refrigerator could be a smart device and tell you when you are out of milk? Or you're a car that could drive itself and take your children to the movies? Or even a watch that could tell you and help you track where your children are. These are things that IoT products can enable and let customers take advantage of. So not only is IoT in the something that happens in the product world and the end product that we receive, but there are huge opportunities for manufacturing to improve their production processes. So that same concept of using sensors and IoT can be used to monitor products throughout the supply chain. Doing things like helping to improve inventory, reduce working capital, as well as reduce logistics costs. So another great thing about this is really the ability for them, once they know where these products are, is there's an opportunity for them to reduce things like natural resources costs, things like fuel and electricity that have really high costs in the manufacturing processes. Of course, once the product's finished, you can do all those things that we talked about by understanding customer behavior, as well as doing things like notifying a customer when a product needs maintenance. So imagine if that same washing machine could tell you or let you know before it was going to break that it needed to be, a service person needed to be called. Those are the types of things that increase brand loyalty and reduce maintenance costs for the customer. So a primary challenge of IoT is you can manage it. It's a lot more complicated than just connecting the devices to the web. There are massive amounts of data, unprecedented levels of data that are being created by these devices. The challenge for a manufacturer is how do they capture all that data, aggregate it, and turning it to meaningful insights so that it can be leveraged within their organization to drive business decisions across the company. So these are areas where Google is helping. So our platform was purpose-built for the cloud. So what we allow customers to do is to consume, aggregate, and search really unlimited quantities of data so that, and whether this is in real time or it's a latent data that's being sent to us, it can all be aggregated and triggers can be sent on it, so notifications can be sent, valuable insights, etc., can be sent throughout the manufacturing process. Also, it's not just about big data in the cloud. We have phenomenal geospatial technology that really provides a visualization, a way for manufacturers to understand where their products are being used, where they're located throughout that supply chain. One customer that we worked with this area, I think it's a fascinating product, is called Philippe's. So this company was started by Stein Kerbot, and he created it when his 3-year-old son, Philippe, was lost or in the mall for about 30 minutes. So when this inspired him to create an idea that there should be an easy way for parents to be able to track their young children. So he created a wearable device that is not only just it's a watch and it's a phone and it's a GPS tracking mechanism that's really targeted at the market of a 5 to 11-year-old child. So this wearable device combines both GPS, Wi-Fi capabilities, and AT&T wireless network, so that it's always connected. So what it allows people to do is set safe zones up. So they use the Google Maps geotechnology, and they can physically set up places where they consider safe zones for their children, and it will send them alerts when their children are outside of those areas. So at any point in time, people can log into this mobile app, see exactly where their children are. And then it has other features that, when they go out, again, like it alerts them. Not only does it alert them, but it will call a list of people, maybe the father, the mother, and the other people that are on the call list, until it gets in touch with somebody to let them know that the child's outside of the designated safe zone area. So these are the types of things that would never have been possible a few years ago if it wasn't for IoT.
Yeah, really fascinating example there of how companies are leveraging our Maps technology as well as our Google Cloud platform to really turn this concept into reality. And clearly, I mean, those two products are clear winners here. Brent, over to you. When we've talked about this, you've had some very interesting examples of using Google technology to really make the Internet of Things a reality at Briggs Stratton. Can you describe us some of those examples there?
Sure. I mean, the Internet of Things for us is both a major disruptor as well as a tremendous opportunity. We've taken this into consideration as we're reinventing the services of IT. So especially this is true in our infrastructure platforms, our data models, our storage, and our integration platforms that we've had to reinvent to take into consideration both machine-to-machine devices and the Internet of Things. So today we're even leveraging those platforms now to provide benefits both internally for customers such as our R&D departments or in quality and manufacturing, as well as to our end consumers. So we have a great example of this, I think, for our end consumers that people can probably relate to, and that is with our standby generator unit. So we've produced something called InfoHub, which is bringing all those things together into the standby generator. So it has devices running on it that can track the operations, the performance, the maintenance needs, and brings that information both to Briggs & Stratton, to our dealer network who maintains and installs these units, and to the consumer so they can understand what's happening with the unit, what they might need to do with it, or just how it's performing or not performing remotely. So it's really a tremendous game changer in the market, and we're excited to bring that to market.
Terrific. It's really about making, I guess you're killing two birds with one stone here. You're not only doing more and more around connected products and making the Internet of Things a reality, but you're also tying it back to your larger strategic goal of being more customer-centric. So I really like that example. Let's dig into the second area, Rhonda, that you talked about, which was around operational efficiency. Now, this is something that manufacturers have cared about for decades now. Lots of innovation already in place, but again, this turns out to be another era where we are seeing massive innovation again. So can you again frame the problem for the industry today, that the industry is seeing today, And how is Google Enterprise helping manufacturers become more operationally efficient?
Yes, so Tejal, you're absolutely correct. Manufacturers have always cared about improving processes, reducing costs, and doing more with less. So when you look at the entire operational process of a manufacturer, it really covers everything from plan to produce, plant level automation and customization, manufacturing execution, quality, tracking defects, all the way through compliance. So in this new area of manufacturing in 4.0, manufacturers need to reinvent the ways that they've collaborated over the past few years, so that they're really working as one cohesive entity. And what we really mean by that is, if you look across the complexity of a manufacturer, they're located in multiple places. They have multiple operations. They might be overseas in different time zones. You have the corporate office location, suppliers, distributors, as well as external vendors that they often work with as well. So these can provide, big collaboration challenges to really work and have visibility as one organized, one cohesive entity, throughout those manufacturing processes. So one area that Google is really helping, and manufacturers have had some really amazing results with, is really leveraging the Google Apps platform in this space. So that provides the building blocks for sharing information, building in workflows, and then eliminating the silos that exist across various departments, geographies, and time zones. And because of the tools are purpose-built for mobile, it allows people to work the way they live from any device at any time. And it's really making it different for manufacturers. We also have extensive search capabilities that we provide to organizations. So think of Google.com, but Google.com internally for them to use within their organization, so that you can find any information that might exist within those information silos. So companies such as Honeywell have seen huge benefits from this. So Honeywell has one of the largest SAP implementations, or it might even be the largest implementation of SAP in the aerospace and defense industry. And they're using the Google search appliance on the front end of SAP, SharePoint, and a variety of other systems they have, PLM systems, file shares, etc., so that their engineers and workers can find information very quickly to make sure that they're reusing information, sharing best practices, and doing those types of things. And the benefit to them has been enormous. I mean, they're estimating that within a 1 week, on a 1 week average period, they're saving about $3,500 a week, 3,500 hours a week in man labor across their 120,000 employees.
Those are very impressive stats there, Rhonda, especially as you talk about a large company like Honeywell. So clearly, as we talk about operational efficiency, it looks like using Google search as a product, helps you break silos, move a lot faster, and then of course there's apps for collaborative technology. Again, helps break silos and helps the workforce move faster in general. Over to Briggs and Stratton, Brent and Sarah. You guys have had some very interesting examples here in the past when we've talked about retooling some of your processes. I would love to hear more around, or just 1 or 2 examples that you can share with our audience, because I think it would be very, very educational for our attendees as well.
Yeah, Tejal, thank you. The Google tools are very empowering for our users, and we see that every day as we provide these tools, and our users use them in very creative ways to produce the productivity and collaboration that we're really seeking out there in the market. So one of these examples is really very evident in the manufacturing arena, where our teams are already very focused, very lean in what they do today, but these tools have really brought that lean focus to a whole nother level by virtualizing it. So what we've done is we've been able to use Drive and Sites and those sorts of collaborative tools that are on demand and use them in a different way that's really brought the efficiencies to a whole nother level. And I think, our team has kind of discovered that out in the manufacturing arena, and Sarah saw it firsthand, so she can probably describe it better.
Great, thanks, Brent. So we're actually coming to you from our product museum. We're not out on the shop floor. We would have liked to have been out on the shop floor, but when the lines are running, we keep them running. So we're going to tell you a little bit about it and show it on screen as well. Let me set the use case for you first of all. So if you can imagine, this is probably a scenario playing out at a lot of manufacturing companies around the world. Things very paper-based, very manual. What we would do is kind of sequence the job or the work for the day, at 20 different workstations, and somebody would walk around with, you know, clipboards or notebooks with the work instructions about what everybody needs to do for the day, and if there were any changes, somebody would have to walk those instructions and those changes and resequence the instructions around, and that process would repeat itself. And when we had peaks in demand and we had to bring people on to the company, maybe in terms of temporary workforce, we had to train all of those people to get them on board and so that they're ready to go and that they're ready to be out on the line producing product. So if you marry all that up with a very manual process, what the team had done was they discovered the flexibility and the capability that they have with Google Apps. And that's what I want to show you right now on screen here. Is basically what they've done is they've created a site that's kind of a landing site for all of the lines on the production. If we just look into the home standby line, for example, now the work instructions are all sitting in docs and Drive or in Sheets and Drive, and everything is sequenced in the precise order. If there's any changes, they're made real time, and people are always getting the latest version. If I need to watch a video, I can now watch just the segment that pertains to the steps that I'm performing on the line, so you can see that as an example here. And then when the quality team needs to go around and actually do their quality checks, it's not paper-based anymore and sending it back to the office to have somebody key it in, but these are, again, all documents or forms that can be filled out and can be kept in a central place. So here's why we love this use case, Tejal. You know, when we ask them, there's really three reasons. When we ask them, you know, why now? You know, why did you decide to go digital, or why did you decide to go move this process away from paper-based? What they told us in their own words is basically it was too costly and too inflexible for them to use the tools that were already in their toolbox. And then in order to go out and buy something else, it would require, first of all, the investment to do so, the ongoing support and the ongoing maintenance, and if they ever wanted to make changes to make it flexible for this lean manufacturing environment that we're in, they couldn't do it themselves. So that's really the second reason that we love this use case, because they can do it themselves. They did do it themselves. We only saw this a few weeks ago ourselves, and we've been live for almost 9 months now. So they did this themselves, which also helps to give them a sense of ownership. And that's the third thing that we really like about this use case, because now they have not only the sense of ownership in what they created, but they also have a sense of ownership in the improvement opportunities. So when we bring partners to the table in this thought process and in this innovation and iterative thinking with them, when we bring our Google partners and our Maven Wave partner, our CSS partner to the table, when we start talking about touch screens and tablets, maybe even Google Glass someday, these are just great opportunities out that just really started with their own idea and their own empowerment, if you will, on the platform. Thus far, they've saved, or they've calculated, the industrial engineers calculated that they can save 165 hours per year with just what I showed you on screen. But if you count up all of the improvements, we're at somewhere in the neighborhood of 600 more hours per year just with those improvements. So now I want to take you to another use case on operational efficiency, just a little bit higher, further up the supply chain. And let's talk a little bit about supply and demand. So in addition to products production, we're also an OEM, an engine provider for other partners in the ecosystem. And what the use case here was, we were emailing spreadsheets back and forth with the partner to try to confirm what the production should be for the day and for the week based upon what the supply was and based on what their consumption was. And so we had multiple versions of spreadsheets being sent around every day. And if somebody wasn't in the office or somebody wasn't in their inbox, they weren't getting the latest version. So again, this team on their own decided that they were going to just create a Google Sheet shared between the two companies, which you can see here as an example. And what they're doing is they're basically just telling everybody what they're producing back and forth and what they're consuming, so that we're not overproducing or underproducing at any given time. So these are just a couple of those operational efficiency use cases, Tejal, and there's many more out there.
That's really terrific. Three things struck me, right? So you're really taking this whole idea of, or notion of, digital transformation to a whole different level. You're doing that with Google Drive on your shop floor. You're doing that with the spreadsheets, collaborative spreadsheets with your supply chain. So that's really powerful. You're also empowering employees to go rogue, which is quite unconventional, but you're seeing huge amounts of success because of the amount of ownership that the employees feel. And then the last bit that was quite striking was that you've had these innovative processes or disruptive processes take place in just the last few months, and you're already seeing real tangible benefits, which is huge than just high level talk about benefits. So that's very helpful to know. So thank you for sharing that level of detail. Switching gears a little bit, and actually a note to all of our viewers. Please, if you joined late, please continue to post your comments, questions on the social channels using the hashtag disrupt or be disrupted. And if you aren't already doing so, please follow us on our G+ Enterprise, Google Enterprise G+ page. So going to the last area, Rhonda, that you talked about, which is how do manufacturers accelerate the process of going from idea to the actual product launch. If you can give us the lay of the landscape and talk about what areas Google Enterprise is collaborating with manufacturers on to really accelerate this process.
Yeah, Tejal. So as we talked about, the market is really asking and demanding for manufacturers to be able to produce product much quicker than before, and this is really being driven by several things, not just the Internet of Things, but mass customization, technology advancements, social media, as well as global demand. So these factors have really led to a demand for new functionality, and of course, as we've already said, customers are more and more impatient, and they want that product, and they want it right away. So manufacturers that are able to shorten their product idea to launch cycle are able to get their products out quicker and gain market share, and those that aren't really risk losing market share and customer loyalty. So there are a couple challenges along this whole spectrum of generating an idea and bringing a product or launching a product to your sales or distribution channel. The first is that ideas can come from anywhere, so not just from engineering, marketing, or research, but they can also come or be crowdsourced from social media websites. So a challenge for one of the manufacturers is how do they consolidate structured data, industry data, as well as this unstructured data so that they can gain meaningful insights and prioritize the types of products that they want to build. The second is if you look across the product development process, no different than from operational efficiency, when we talked about that, is that work travels from department to department, location to the location. So there's really a need for people to be collaborating, making sure they have one central version of the truth. And those organizations that don't do that really run the risk of having inefficiencies, time-consuming products, and are risking errors. And then the third kind of area is you have this product, it's a great product, and now you want to launch it to your sales and distribution channel. And there's a lot of things that you have to do there. You have to coordinate the logistics to deliver that product, but you also want to make sure that your resellers or your distribution channel has the most relevant and up-to-date information about your products, that they're properly trained, they have the right documentation and the right knowledge that they need so that they can be successful selling the product that you've just produced. And those that don't, it really leads to miscommunication and lost opportunity for sale. So there's really several ways that Google can help with this. So when we were talking about big data, when we talked about IoT or the Internet of Things, not only can Google consolidate and aggregate the structured data, but we can also bring in unstructured data and help to turn that into insights for organizations. So that will become really meaningful as you're trying to decide what type of a product to produce. Finally, the Google Apps platform. We talked about that, and Brent and Cyril gave some great examples of how their plant floor and they're able to communicate with their sales channel. But just think about during that product development process. So things like Google Drive allow organizations to store those design documents in one location to make sure that it's a real-time document and there's not multiple versions of the truth. And then, of course, there are virtual meetings that can happen using Google Hangouts on Air. Or Google Hangouts. And then finally, for that final product or that documentation, distributing that content through Google Drive or native mobile app that may be built on App Engine so that your resellers can easily access that information from you. So one customer that we've worked with that has done some really interesting things in this space is Shaw Industries, and they're the largest flooring manufacturer in the world, producing all different types of flooring products. So they've used a combination of Google Hangouts, Drive, Docs, as well as Google Translate to help them coordinate across their global product development and engineering teams. And not only have they seen those cycles reduce from better collaboration, they've told us that they're actually spending 50% less time in meetings now because of these live documents. So that's just more time for the engineering and the other business functions to focus on their core processes.
That's terrific. That's actually quite a wide variety of manufacturers that we're talking about, all the way from Philips to Honeywell to now Shaw Industries. Over to Briggs Stratton, Sarah. In our conversations, you've talked about several examples where you are using several new technologies to move faster, right? To go from idea to product launch faster, and obviously this is very key to you guys as you're moving more and more towards that customer-centric behavior. Launching products faster is very critical. So can you dive into a couple of those examples that I think would be quite helpful to our attendees?
Sure, thanks, Tejal. So really, we believe that one of the tools that's really at the center of our idea to launch is G+. And we are just thrilled with the adoption of and the expansion of the use of G+ in our organization. It really started when, just a couple of weeks after we went live, we kind of sunset the traditional model of having an email address for people to send questions to or how-to questions. We sunset that idea of having IT always being the one that's answering those questions, and we created a G+ community. We called it Go Ask Guy because everybody in their life probably has a guy or a gal that helps them with something. And so we called it Go Ask Guy, and that's really where we began as an IT organization. We started there to answer people's questions, but it wasn't long, Tejal, before customers were answering each other's questions. And that was kind of a moment for us to celebrate when we saw the first customer in there answering somebody else's question. And it opened up everybody's eyes to this concept of, can you crowdsource within your customer community or your user community? Can you crowdsource tips and how-to information so that you don't have to do that and that you can attend to the true issues or the real problems that might be associated with whatever it is that we're working on. And it's our intention, for example, in the Go Ask Guy example, it is our full intention to roll that out to other major enterprise systems as well, because we're seeing that that concept is really taking hold. We're now into a situation where some of our customers are not only answering each other's questions, they're actually contributing their own content, either in video form or in their own tips and tricks, and we're pretty much cut out of the middle of that whole concept to begin with. So it's I think it's both liberating for us, but then I think it's also opening our eyes and our business's eyes to the concept of what's next with communities and how we can use those. The next example is our neighborhood news community. So we used to, if your intranet is like ours, a lot of people will say that the information that's out there is out of date, and it's not really news anymore if you have to wait until the newsletter comes out via email or is posted up on the bulletin boards around the company. So we've migrated the neighborhood news to a G+ community. And again, this is a place for people to get real-time information and to really have a two-way dialogue. So we love the use case of neighborhood news because it's available regardless of what device you're using and regardless of what side of the firewall you're sitting on. You've created a two-way dialogue so that you can understand better what is of interest to my audience. Are my customers even interested in this story or this information? And can I now actually start a dialogue where they're giving me feedback and we can continue that dialogue rather than sending emails around or waiting for the next blast of marketing information. And the third thing, like I mentioned earlier, is this idea of crowdsourcing. Let people contribute and submit their own newsworthy items rather than waiting and having that centralized through one funnel. So we're seeing that this has opportunity, Tejal, well beyond what we're doing just here within our business. We can use this kind of concept with our dealers, with any of that customer-centric or user-centered design. with our B2C opportunities, and with our innovation pipeline as well.
That's amazing. Can't wait to see what you guys do next with all of this all of these tools and technologies. On a side note, I also should figure out what to do with Go Ask Guy as a term that's something that we could probably use within Google here as well. Very catchy. So I think there's a lot that we covered today. There was a lot of helpful information. So thank you to Brent, to Sarah, to Rhonda for sharing the insights, the examples. To recap for our attendees, we basically covered 3 areas today. We talked about how Internet of Things is turning into a reality, and we had some really interesting examples from Briggs Stratton around the standby generator. Rhonda talked about how Philips was using this for the watch that they've created, the GPS tracking watch. So very fascinating examples there. The second area that we talked about was operational efficiency. And here again, you guys gave us a very interesting glimpse into your world of manufacturing and how you're essentially retooling some of the processes with some of our tools. And the last area we talked about was the idea to profit and how you are essentially using something very, very new, like the G+ communities, to really transform the way your teams are communicating, and you're ideating a lot faster because of that. So I'm sure that has given a lot of food for thought to our attendees as well. So thank you again for your time and appreciate all of the insights. I do have time for a couple of questions for you, Brent. One question that's coming up now is, what advice would you give to your peers, to your fellow CIOs who are considering migration or moving to Google?
Yeah, I think, for me, change is happening all around us, and for IT, that truly does mean disrupt or be disrupted. So my advice is to get started, take action, start leveraging and innovating some tools such as what Google has to offer, and really provide that disruption in a positive way for your business and your customers.
That's great. Time for yet another question. What does the future look like at Briggs & Stratton, especially as you think about all of the tools and technologies that Google Enterprise offers today?
Yeah, if you guys haven't noticed already, we're really excited to be partnering with Google. Our teams co-create and innovate every day. So the things that we're doing today, such as the productivity gains, the collaboration, the integration, and all of those things are wonderful. We're getting great results with that. But we're even more excited about tomorrow. I mean, the things that Google has on their platform and their plate, the things that we know that we can start leveraging in the future, create even more excitement and opportunity for us as we really look forward, I would say, in the midterm to things like, tighter integration to some other tools that we use to really have a seamless, I'll say, experience for our users, workflow capabilities, a lot more on the cloud platforms that we're leveraging for things like we talked about, the Internet of Things, and a lot of our big data needs. And so we're working on a lot of interesting things for the future, and it's very exciting to be partnering with Google.
That's always great to hear. Music to our ears. Well, that was a wrap. Thank you again for your time, Rhonda, Sarah, and Brent. And thank you to everyone who joined us here today. I just wanted to again remind you guys, please continue to post your comments using the hashtag #DisruptOrBeDisrupted. And stay tuned for our next Hangout on Air series, where we will have Manesh Patel, CIO from Sanmina, joining us on June 24th at 10 Pacific time to talk about how they are reinventing some of the processes within Sanmina. To stay tuned, please continue to follow us on Google Enterprise G+ page. Thanks again. Bye.